their early 20s, like a breakup is a really monumental experience, and that certainly was the case for me. It was the case for a lot of my peers. And I combined a lot of different stories that had happened, and even things like, and then a lot of my family stuff also. It's just a mixture of all that. But again, there's a lot of fiction in there too, so a good balance of it all.
Outstanding. Let's hear it for this amazing cast right here.
Very rare occurrence, the entire ensemble in one house. Very rare.
Extra round of applause. They made the trip all the way out here, so thanks, guys. It's amazing. So let's talk to you guys. Let's go right down the line. Just kind of tell us what attracted you guys to these roles. You're all perfect for these parts.
Am I going first? Yeah. Well, I love Mia from the minute I read the script, and I can relate to Mia as a mother, right? And I thought it was just so beautifully written, and the relationships are so meaningful and nuanced, and she's just kind of a little powerhouse. She's got to get things done, and she's super efficient at things, and I love that about her. And I loved her relationship with Kirby. And anyway, so I was in from the second I read it.
Oh man, yeah. It's a very real story. It's not like anything that's overwhelmingly far-fetched to happen. Like that interstate from Pendleton to LeGrand does actually get closed. Like pretty often gets snowed out, and that happens. So the dialogue was just fantastic, and man, Ben, he's just like, I feel like we've all been in like both situations. Like everyone has been Ben at one time, everyone has been Cassie at one time, trying to like just do whatever they can to fix things, and similarly doing whatever they can to try to escape. So it was really fun to get to play this just real role, and get to bring something just fun and a fresh take on a story like this, where the guy doesn't get the girl, and it's a very real thing. It's a lot more like real life than I feel like a lot of stories out there. So yeah, it was just such a blast. It was so great, and getting to work with these guys was just the best experience ever. It was great.
Well, I second what everyone is saying, but for me, kind of like Chandler said, the script was just written so well, and it was such, it was just so organic, and it was so real. And I think often in films, we get to see amazing relationships of like really young love and in high school, and we get to see relationships, at the beginning of marriage, and we see divorces, and something that, when you are in your earlier mid-20s and you're in a serious relationship, I don't know, I felt like it was such an interesting thing to read for the first time. Because like I said, I feel like I've gotten to watch young love in these different ways, but just having a couple that's in their mid-20s and their conversations aren't about, are we gonna get married or what's the next thing? It's just kind of sitting in this discomfort that kind of comes with after graduating. I feel like, people that date in college, or in graduate school, there's this convenience of dating. They live in the same place, they do the same things, and there's this kind of discomfort that comes with the graduation and the aftermath. And I think for me, I really loved just the seriousness and the gravity of their relationship. And I think, Nelson and I talked a lot about the gravity of like just first love and first true heartbreak as a young adult. And I just thought it was so beautifully written. And when I first read it, I was like, this is incredible. I just wanted to do it so badly. I auditioned and I talked about it and thought about it. And then once I got cast, I felt so lucky. And then I was so curious who else was going to bring to life all these other characters. And I couldn't have asked for better castmates, because what we read on paper was phenomenal, but like I'm just so impressed by what everyone did with their characters to just round it out. So Nelson made it easy, but that initial script was really wonderful.
I was happy to be cast as a nice dad. For some reason, It's not a problem, but for some reason I'm often cast as weirdos, freaks, pervs, murderers, attempted murderers, murder suspects, so got a lot of procedurals. So but in a funny way, sort of playing a somewhat normal, nice father was kind of a challenge. The character, and I was really grateful. And so that was part of what drew me to it. It was like, I want to play a normal guy. This is wonderful. And then that's what drew me to it. And then also I liked the writing, and then I remember the first day I shot was like that hallway scene where we all sort of meet each other in the hallway. You come out of the room. And that was the first time I really met the bulk of the cast, and I remember thinking, oh, this will work. We're gonna land as a family. This makes sense. Because acting is weird, because I don't think any of us knew each other before we shot. But we're all creating the illusion that we're a family with, a new person there who then fits in and doesn't fit in the way. So that was very exciting. So I think he's got a great eye for casting, not just casting me, everybody. You've got one.
It's weird, I only get cast as the normal happy dad. That's so weird.
We can trade.
Liz, as soon as I read the script, I loved her. I felt like it could have easily gone like kind of surface level, two-dimensional, Gen Z, social media influencer wannabe, and I think that would have been perfectly fine too, but I just saw a little bit more of like a sensitivity and complexity, and Liz in this time in her life, she's not really a kid anymore. She spent a lot of time in college, but she's not an adult yet. She's back in her home, in her childhood bedroom, bickering with her siblings, and so she's trying to figure out where she falls in the world, and I think for the Gen Z generation, social media is a huge outlet and a big way to find your people, and she's just trying to figure it out and figure out a relationship. So she was just a fun roller coaster, and she was a good time, and her costumes were fun. So that was nice.
Hello. I just had a good time reading the old script. There was no false idols. Everybody was real. I had met a Gordon before, and I was like, an awful guy to play. Sounds fun. Let's go ahead and jump in there. And I think like everybody just felt very, very real to me and honest in a way that I was like, if these pieces come together correctly, it will not be fake, and it'll be like a real weird family. I remember I had a trip planned to Vietnam when the script came in. I read the email and the shooting dates were when I was gone, and I went, I'm not gonna read that, I'm gonna go on my trip. And then it came from a friend and a trusted source, and so I read it, and at the end I was like, fuck, I'm not going to Vietnam. Like, this is good, and I was sad, and I had that lump in my throat and that pit in my stomach, and I was like, I guess we're in.
That's great. Actually, Jacob has one of the most poignant scenes in the movie where you bump into the ex on the street, which is such a terrific, one of my favorite moments in the movie, actually.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. And Nelson, I want to give you props for really keeping things grounded and real, and really resisting the temptation to go the full-on happy ending route. And I think that is a testament to the power of this movie. So it's great.
What's interesting is that I would tell people this concept. I've had this concept for over a decade, like Christmas breakup movie or whatever, and people would say, "Oh, that sounds so fun. I could help you package that up and sell that to Hallmark." And I was like, "No, it's not really what I'm after." And then I'd be stuck because everyone would say that, and I'd be like, "Oh, hilarity ensues. I'm going to write a straightforward comedy again, like you'd see on Hallmark." And in February of 2022, 2 years ago, I was like, "This isn't working because breakups are not funny. They suck. They're really difficult. So I'm going to tell this as honestly as I can." And in doing that, the humor just flowed like a river, and you heard the audience, it's just like the humor is there, but we always took the breakup seriously. And we were like, we're not making fun of that, and we're respecting these people's emotions. And that was my North Star every way through it, is like, the humor will come, but we need to the characters need to take themselves seriously.
And great balance. Brooke and James, you guys keep things sort of centered because you're the happy couple in all of this, and that really keeps things great, fantastic.
I think it is kind of, I mean, it's a bittersweet ending, but I think it's kind of a happy ending because it's about not just the main young couple, but we get all these stories of people who have moved on, including me. You know, Mr. Sunshine. So I think that's sort of there's something kind of sweet about that. Everyone sort of learned to sort of let go and move forward.
I also, now that it's sort of a nice, like, the cap is finally popped, people know how it ends, I always said, you know, this is a love story, but it's a sibling love story, you know? It's about them coming together at the end, and how they really don't have that much in common, but they've all had breakups.
Is Chandler wearing the socks by chance? Fantastic touch, by the way. The socks is fantastic. Let's turn over some questions from the audience. Yeah. I'll bring the mic out so everyone can hear. We'll start right here.
It said something about you developed a script during a residency. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I am not from Oregon, contrary to popular knowledge or whatever, but I went to Oregon with a short documentary, and then I got into a film festival called the Eastern Oregon Film Festival, which is in La Grande, Oregon. I'd never been, and I got to this town, and it was October, and I was like, this looks like a little model train village. I love it. And then Christopher Jennings, who is a producer on the film and is in the house, was like, well, we're thinking about starting like a writer's residency. And I was like, it ticked every light bulb in my body went off, and I was like, I would love to do this, and I'll be a part of it ever. So I was one of the first 6 filmmakers to be brought to La Grande for a month and spent a month writing screenplays set there. The irony is I worked on a completely different script, and then toward the end, the breakup in La Grande started kicking through my head, and I would pitch it to my friends and people in town, and they would be like, oh yeah, the interstate closes every single winter because of traffic, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, great, we're doing it here. So, and the rest is history.
I'm curious, someone had said that you all didn't know each other before the film, and it really did feel like a family. So how did you, as a director and as the castmates, how did you build that family feeling, a bunch of strangers, and you just portrayed it so convincingly, it felt very real.
Well, thank you. I mostly have to give credit to the cast because this was an independent film with no rehearsal dates built in. So I've had phone calls with all 6 of them ahead of time, over an hour for each person, where we just talk about the character and all that. And then everyone arrived and met each other either the day of the first day of filming, or in some cases the weekend prior. And so the rest I can really give to these folks and just them embodying their characters, and you know, I can just fully give my kudos, but if anyone else wants to weigh.
I think you cast very well, and so, like I said, the first day I met everyone, I felt like there was natural rapport. And another thing I think that helped was being in this new environment, being in La Grande, which is such a charming town. I think we all kind of fell in love with it. And it was also wonderful to see it on the screen tonight. It was like seeing an old friend, because we were all there for like 4 weeks. And like a little mall where I had lunch one day. And so there was something about all us being there in this sort of charming, kind of rural, slightly rundown, you know, in parts, but in a very, it had a really great vibe to it. Like it had character, is what I'm trying to say. And I think we all sort of bonded over that in a way. Like we're all here in this sort of charming place. And you were put up in like a house, and then I was in a very nice B&B in the alley behind your house. So we were all like living in this neighborhood together. There was like one, and other actors were like in the one hotel in town that was very small, that had like the one really nice restaurant in town. So I think we kind of all bonded over being there very quickly, and that then landed as, you know, familial relationship.
Yeah, when you're in the middle of nowhere, like it's, you know, you're kind of all you got, you know, it's
and we all liked each other.
Yeah, Yeah. The amount of nights that we closed out benchwarmers was many nights.
And our producer Steven also encouraged us to go out drinking now and then.
Like every night.
Yeah. And it helps to hang out. You can bond pretty quickly just hanging out a little bit, but we hung out a lot.
Yeah, it was seriously some of the best camaraderie that I've really ever seen on a crew. The cast and crew was great.
We got time for a couple more. Anyone else?
In the front here.
Oh, right here.
So it takes a lot to get an emotional response out of me in a movie, and you guys got me over and over and over again with this. And there's so many movies out there that do it, and it comes across corny or goofy, and they just don't hit it. But as either an actor or a director, how do you know that you've got the scene that you want and the response you want out of the audience?
Can I chime in about that quickly? I remember one of the first dinner scenes. We're acting the scene, and it's bad. Any actor will tell you, don't think while you're acting, because then you lose focus. But I remember being in the scene and also thinking, this is pretty good. Like, there's a real rapport. And another thing that I must say that Nelson had, that he would often stress, was a certain rhythm. The acting is pretty naturalistic, but I think he also understood that there was a kind of tightness and even a sort of old school sort of comedy rhythm that was important to him. Just my memory of that sort of rapport that we had.
Yeah, and I think when it came to it being a short shoot and we had such a strict schedule, and I give so much credit to all of the crew and our producers and Nelson for keeping us on the schedule and in line, and we were still able to capture all the things that you guys saw, which was super magical for us to see. But I think when you have that kind of schedule where you know you can't do a million takes of something, we all just had to really trust each other. And I say that in the sense of there was moments when, you know, I'd be doing something with Chandler, but I just don't know if I got the take, I don't know if I got the scene, I just don't know if I'm happy. And I always felt like he was doing wonderful, and he would just like reach over and say, no, that was amazing, we're good, like be confident in moving on to the next thing. Same with Nelson, it's like there's moments we get frustrated, I don't think I'm doing the right thing, and it's just trusting the people around you. And so everyone on the cast was so in tune with their characters and so much love for their characters, and they were performing so well, and the crew everyone was doing their job and doing it well. And so I think that made everything run so smoothly and made those connections so seamless, because I think that translates, just having to trust each other and each other's performances and each other's validation sometimes. And it was a fast shoot, but we covered so much ground, and I'm just very thankful, that we were able to do as much as we did in the time that we had. It was really wonderful.
The movie gods were with us to a degree too, because it snowed when it was supposed to snow. And I remember it was coming down. At one point we were shooting a scene, and you said, we're gonna take a break, and then you and the DP just shot some snow falling out of the window, to get there. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say yes. We bonded so quickly as a group that we did become a family. We really did on set. We were there for 3 weeks together. We were in this beautiful home, Rika's gorgeous home, together. And then when we were off set, of course, we were all still together in La Grande and having so much fun and eating and drinking and karaokeing and all the things. But it was such a bond, and like when there would be a scene just with two people, the rest of us would still want to watch it, and we'd still be in there, and we'd just be encouraging and have the eye contact and keep that emotion where it needed to be for the scene for each other. And it was really lovely. It was the most beautiful thing, and it started with Nelson, and then it ended here, and I'm getting all emotional, but it was very sweet. It was so nice. It was beautiful.
So, this is for Nelson. As a director and a writer, I'm sure you had a pretty good relationship with the story itself, and probably really strong idea of like what you want it to be. But then you bring in these other people who have their own experiences in life, and it sounds like went super well. How did that story evolve from what you were originally thinking to
what ended up to what we saw, and then how did you kind of coach the actors through to get what you wanted?
Yeah, great questions. What you see on screen is the 6th draft of the screenplay. I guess you could call it the 7th because we edited some stuff afterwards. And each iteration I would share with people. I did 3 different live readings of the script where I had either my friends or people in LeGrand, people read the script out loud, and I was absorbing information like a sponge and like, okay, that didn't quite land the way I wanted to, or like, for example, I wanted to have one scene with every single character a one-on-one, and the one I was missing was Gordon and Mia did not have a scene together, so I wrote a scene with the 2 of them. Just that it's a quick bowl scene, but it gets me every time. So I think just that, taking the writing very seriously. I don't even consider myself a writer. I write by necessity because I want to make movies, you know what I mean? And so it's like, but I wanted it to be excellent, and then in terms of, you know, just getting to know it and all that, I did something I recommend to any filmmaker, which no one taught me to do, but I just figured it out, was the screenplay is very airtight. There's no room in a screenplay. It's just like one sentences and all that. So I made a second document that was just like a word vomit. Here's scene 1, all my thoughts and everything about it, whatever. It ended up being like a 65-page document, and that was circulated among everyone, especially the crew, so that way there was just a lot, like a brain trust of information and movie references I was doing, and true stories that happened to me, true stories that happened to my friends, true stories that happened to my siblings, you know what I mean? So gathering all that information, and then, you know, just what I would call the actor-director dynamic, which is one of the most enjoyable things in the world. It's like, let's just talk through a scene and like, oh wait, that's not quite there, like, lean into this line of dialogue, or, you know, or hands off that line of dialogue. So, and that's, you know, best job in the world.
Yeah, so was this your first narrative feature film? A lot of us in here that are filmmakers make a lot of short films. When did you decide you were ready to make the jump from short to feature?
I've been so hungry. I was so hungry. I've been doing shorts, you know, but like, it's a feature, right? So I don't know. There's a movie called Tick Tick Boom on Netflix, and it's about the guy who wrote Rent, and the frustration he's having of wanting to do stuff. I saw that in January 2022, and I was like, I gotta get going here, you know, like I'm gonna make movies till I, you know, keel over, you know what I mean? This is what I'm here to do, and so it was like, it's time, and I didn't know everything. I didn't know a fraction of what I was gonna need to know, you know what I mean? But I think because it was a holiday movie, we had a deadline, so by about March, April of 22, I was like, if we don't shoot it this February, it's gonna get punt of the year, and any momentum I have is lost. So that gave us an active ticking clock. And then same with editing and all that. It's like we intend to release it around holiday 2024, so that gives me a ticking clock of like, okay, I need to get this done and all that. So that external motivation was super helpful, and just, yeah, a love of movies and wanting to do this more badly than anything, and willing to beg, borrow, steal, and do whatever it takes.
We have time for one more.
Can I just add on to that real quick, just for the filmmakers? So I think the best thing, he's selling himself short here. The best thing that you can do as as a director is learn how to edit, because like working with Nelson was I can pretty confidently say that it was the best experience that I've ever had working with a director, because he just knew exactly what, yeah, like he knew what the film was. Yeah. No, he knew exactly what the movie was going to be in its finished product, and obviously it changes in the edit, you know, of course. But just having such a very clearly defined image of what you need, it helps. It's so efficient on set because you don't waste time getting shots you don't need. You are so efficient with the actors because you can tell them exactly like, hey, so this is for this beat specifically, you know. And it's so great. So I think if I were to recommend anything, yeah, it'd be to get good at editing. Yeah.
I think that's a great, awesome way to end the Q&A. But I think, Nelson, I suspect there's probably a lot of people here.
Yes. Before we wrap up, I have a lot of people to shout out to who came all the way from St. George. This movie was made by a village, so I want to quickly shout out a few different people. If you worked on Breakup season, do me a favor and stand up in any capacity, please. We got Rika, this whole crew right here.
Louder.
These people. Amazing producing team, Stephen, Rafi, Liana, and Chris. An amazing editor who co-edited with me, Almog Engineer. Jesse Simon, who's a venue manager at HQ and did all kinds of stuff behind the scenes to make it happen. Stormy, who was a true LeGrand success story, showed up to be an extra and got cast as a speaking role in the movie. And Rika, the homeowner, we would never be able to do this without someone who wanted to. And Judy Clark, who did the same thing, helped us so much. And I'm sure I'm missing someone. Raise your hand if I missed you. No, okay, cool. And then my family and friends and everyone else who came. Almost all my family is basically here, and I'm so thankful to all of you. This movie would not have happened without each and every one of your support. So I love you all. Thank you so much.
I say thank you to all of you for coming out here and bringing the movie here. Amazing. And we know that this is just the beginning of a fantastic run for this film. So we love you guys. Thanks for coming.